1. What is Spring Boot? Answer. Spring Boot is a framework that simplifies the development of Java applications by providing pre-configured setups and reducing boilerplate code. It includes embedded servers, starter dependencies, and is built on top of the Spring framework. 2. What are Spring Boot starters? Answer. Starters are a set of convenient dependency descriptors included in Spring Boot that simplify project setup. They bundle dependencies for different functionalities, e.g., Spring Boot Starter Web, Spring Boot Starter Data JPA. 3. What is the purpose of its Spring Boot application? Answer. The Spring Boot application annotation is a combination of configuration, enable auto configuration, and component scan. It is used to mark a class as the primary Spring configuration class and triggers auto configuration and component scanning. 4. Explain the concept of auto configuration in Spring Boot. Answer. Auto configuration in Spring Boot automatically configures components based on the dependencies available in the class path. It simplifies configuration and reduces boilerplate code by auto-wiring beans. 5. How does Spring Boot handle externalized configuration? Answer. Spring Boot allows externalized configuration through application properties or YAML files, e.g., application properties or application YML, environment variables, and command line arguments. It supports hierarchical configuration and profiles. 6. What is the difference between a trust controller and a controller? Answer. A trust controller is a combination of a controller and a response body. It returns data directly, usually JSON, for REST APIs, while a controller is used in MVC applications to return views. 7. What is an embedded server in Spring Boot, and what are the options? Answer. Spring Boot can embed web servers like Tomcat, Jetty, or Undertow within the application, allowing it to run independently without an external server. The default is Tomcat. 8. How do you define application properties for different environments? Answer. Spring Boot supports environment-specific properties using profiles. You can create property files like application dev properties or application prod properties and activate them using Spring profiles. Active equals dev in application properties. 9. What is Spring Boot Actuator? Answer. Spring Boot Actuator provides production-ready features such as monitoring, metrics, health checks, and application insights. It exposes endpoints, like Actuator, Health, to monitor and manage the application. 10. How do you create a custom starter in Spring Boot? Answer. To create a custom starter, you create a new project with a meta-inf Spring Factories file that specifies the auto configuration class. Include dependencies for your starter functionality, package it as a jar, and add it to the main project. 11. What is the purpose of enable auto configuration? Answer. Enable auto configuration triggers the auto configuration process in Spring Boot by enabling automatic bean configuration based on class path settings and other factors. 12. Explain the conditional missing bean annotation. Answer. Conditional missing bean is an annotation used in Spring Boot auto configuration classes to conditionally define a bean if another specified bean does not already exist in the application context. 13. How can you exclude specific auto configuration classes? Answer. You can exclude specific auto configuration classes by using the exclude attribute in a Spring Boot application, like a Spring Boot application exclude equals data source auto configuration class, or by setting properties in application properties. 14. What is a Spring Boot starter parent? Answer. The Spring Boot starter parent is a special starter that provides default configurations for a Spring Boot application, including dependency management, plugin configuration, and properties like Java version and encoding. 15. What is the purpose of Spring Boot? Answer. Spring Boot is an annotation for integration testing in Spring Boot. It loads the complete application context and is commonly used to test the full Spring Boot application in a simulated environment. 16. How does Spring Boot support logging? Answer. Spring Boot uses Logback as the default logging framework and configures it automatically. You can customize logging using properties in application. Properties, e.g., logging, level or logging, file. 17. What is the add component scan annotation? Answer. Add component scan is used to specify the packages that Spring should scan for annotated components, allowing dependency injection and bean registration within those packages. 18. How do you handle exceptions in a Spring Boot application? Answer. You can handle exceptions globally using add controller advice and exception handler annotations. Spring Boot also provides response entity exception handler for custom error responses. 19. How can you secure a Spring Boot application? Answer. Spring Boot can be secured using Spring Security, which offers authentication, authorization, and protection against vulnerabilities. You can configure security policies in the Security Config class. 20. Explain the concept of microservices and how Spring Boot fits into it. Answer. Microservices architecture divides applications into independent, deployable services. Spring Boot supports microservices by offering lightweight configurations, embedded servers, and seamless integration with Spring Cloud, which provides distributed system patterns.